So, Mr. Szulc, can you tell me a little bit about, you are receiving the Trade Americas Award tonight, which honors your work with small and medium-sized enterprises in the region. Can you talk to me a little bit about Goodyear's commitment to the SMEs?
Yeah, thanks Mark, good morning. We've been in the region for more than 90 years. In fact, we're going to be 100 years in 2015. And for most of those years, we've been developing our business through what we call the dealers, our dealer network. And in the past, it used to be more of a closed market. So those families are basically people who had a very small store or shop, and they grew their businesses over time with Goodyear. So we created this very strong bond over the years, people who have been with us for 70 years, 75 years. And what's happening is that with the market changes that have been happening with a lot of imports coming in and everything, the whole competitor set tends to, change the model. And we're 100% committed to our dealer network, so we went back to the basics and basically reinforced that commitment instead of, diverging from it. So it's been a great journey, and we're very happy and thankful and humbled by the fact that we were recognized by the Bravo Business Award.
We're very proud to do it, and we admire Goodyear's work with the region. Can you talk to me a little bit about Goodyear's innovation and how they are changing technology and everything else in the region at the moment?
Yeah. I would say, Mark, that in 2003, we fundamentally competed in a market that had 4 players with local manufacturing. And it was more of a closed market, so as you know, people didn't have many choices in what to buy. But over the years in Latin America is a thriving market. As you know, the middle class today is over 1/3, of the population. In places like Brazil, they're over 50%. So there's more people with more money. The interest rates throughout the region have been declining, so more people with more money, and access to financing. And on top and beyond all this, the market's opening. There's more choices for consumers to choose from: cars, tires, consumer goods in general. So all those 3 elements, if you funnel that, people have more capacity to buy, and they are buying, and the markets are growing. And this is very, very true for the tire industry. So how do you go from winning in a relatively closed market to winning in an open market that went from competing amongst 4 local producers to now 6 local producers plus over 100 manufacturers of tires throughout the region? I believe you have to do that through 2 ways. Number one, you got to be very good in process and operational excellence, and number 2, through innovation, market-backed innovation. So what we've done in the company, we've created the first innovation we call department, but it's really almost like an anarchist way of dealing with the company in Latin America, versus the rest of the world. So we created that, and we had a mission for 3 things. Number one, to create the process architecture, which will help us enable whoever in the company, whoever out of our 6,000 plus employees throughout the region had a great idea, not to be suffocated by the system, which is tough, and that's what we discussed this morning, to be an intrapreneur. And be, foster that the kind of thought process to be fostered and to be recognized throughout the company. So the process creation was a very important thing. Second, within the realm of the business units, to make sure people have what we call the playground. So within that, how do you create, incremental innovation? And third is the breakthrough innovation. How do we challenge ourselves on our own paradigms? So we started to do that, and we created a strategy which fundamentally derives from the global strategy on our 5 key how-tos. The first one being market-backed innovation excellence. And we communicated for every 10 people for the 6,000 employees. So we communicated the first phase, why do we have to change? And now we're going to the second phase, which is what's our strategy and how we do that. We created a process for innovation to flourish. So last year, for you to have an idea, we had more than 15,000 ideas generated across the region that we implemented, and this has been a great journey. And what has this enabled, for us to do? Like, let me give you a very simple example. In the past, because we worked, because all the companies, you know, when you are in workers market, it's very easy for companies to have a more silo mentality. People collaborate, people help, and in Goodyear, people have been always very good in helping each other. But still, when you talk about, for example, telephony systems, we had 5 different platforms that we supported, from smartphones to Blackberries to traditional cell phones to modem systems that, you know, our salespeople will go remotely and access the mainframe and the traditional desktops. By putting people together in that collaborative approach, and by creating a system that people can be rewarded by innovation, people came with the idea of, you know, why don't we look at this problem not only from the cost of the headset, plus the cost of the communication, plus the time that people spend, and let's look at it all together as a cost envelope, and let's look at what there is in the market. Well, the result of this effort is that today we have a system with 20% less headcount, 26% less cost, and one platform. So in the regional office and in Brazil, for example, we use one platform, which is the Apple iPhone 4S. We use this with a carrier, and we only have now 2 platforms, one for mobile, which is this only one, and one for desktops. And this gave us a lot of cost efficiencies, but it broke a lot of the walls in terms of how we relate to each other. Because in the past, you know, if you're a director, you would have one kind of phone. If you're, you know, an associate, you have another phone. And now everybody has the same phone. The salespeople don't get into a modem anymore. What they do is that they go to their smartphone and they log into onto the SAP, and they have access to the order tracking and everything else. So this is just one example. The other example, I'm just going to give you 2 examples. The other example is on recruiting. We used to spend, you know, a very significant amount of money on recruiting, and with the development of social media, we basically cut 60% of our recruiting costs by leveraging LinkedIn, Facebook, internal recommendations, and we created a system that fosters people to help us on recruiting. As a result, not only we're saving costs, but if you look at the people who joined the company through a headhunter, through a recruiter, and the recruiter is not going to like when I say this, but our retention rate is about 50%. It's a very asset-intensive industry, very hard to learn. So 50% of the people who join the company succeed, and 50% don't succeed. That ratio for the amount of people we hired through those, you know, social networks and referrals is 80%. So 80% of the people we hired through, you know, people you know, Mark, or whom I know, or, you know, so on and so forth. We do the due diligence, but 80% are successful. Successful meaning people who end up staying in the company for more than 3 years, good retention, great performance appraisals. So this level of innovation, which is at a micro level, not only at a department level, but, you know, teams working together, we're leveraging this through this program, and we're leveraging this through Yammer as well, the Microsoft platform, to make sure we all collaborate, we all talk.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Little changes you can make. What is Goodyear's aims in the region for the next 2 years? What's important for the company?
Yeah. We spent, I would say, the last 2 or 3 years reorganizing ourselves, bringing new investments. We just invested about $500 million in our Chile plant, and we invested about $243 million in our Americana plant in São Paulo. We've also brought a lot of investments to our Peru facilities, to our Venezuela facilities, to our Colombia plants. No, so we've been working on processes, we've been working on perspective, bringing a lot of market back information, and structuring our plants and our people to put the right people in the right place at the right time. And I think this has been very good to us. We've been very predictable throughout the region. We have a plus minus 5% in volume predictability for 14 months in a row now, which is quite unusual. And for our industry, this is absolutely important because we're very much asset-based company, so we have to best utilize our assets. So predicting volume, it's very important to us. So besides that, what we need to do now going forward is to grow further, more consistently. So we have been growing, but now we have to do it over and over and over again, you know, for the long haul.